There's a topic that I've been so obsessed over the last few years of me training, of me coaching people. I've been coaching now for 3.5 years, and I'm just so obsessed over motivation and what causes people to be motivated, what causes people to be disciplined per se, what that actually looks like. And I've read so many books on it, I've listened to so many podcasts, I've watched so many videos, because I've been consistent with my training now for 5 years, and I've never let one thing get in the way of that, ever. Training has always been at the top of my priorities list. And I've never once not been consistent with my training. It's always been something that I've always done over and over and over and over again, 4 times a week, 5 fucking years straight. And I made some really good progress as a result of it. And I've got clients who are motivated week in, week out, week in, week out. But I've also had clients who aren't as motivated and they aren't as willing to train each week. And they really struggle to get their 4 sessions a week in. They really struggle to prioritize their sleep. They really struggle to follow their meal plan. I've had guys of both calibers in my plan and everyone in between as well. And I think I've finally cracked the secret for motivation. Sorry, I whacked my table there. I think I've finally cracked the secret. After reading so many fucking books and after thinking about it so many times myself, you must understand that motivation is two things. Motivation is running away from pain and running towards pleasure. Let me elaborate on that. Or let me say it again. Motivation is running away from pain and running towards pleasure. When we think something is pleasurable enough, when we want to chase it because it's going to have such a positive outcome for us. Let's say the lottery, for example. If you go on TV or you're watching YouTube and an ad comes up for the lottery, the amount of pleasure you associate with winning the lottery is unbelievable. Because what if you had $50 million? Holy shit, what if you had 50 million? That'd be incredible. That'd be amazing. And what if you're currently broke? Like, if you're broke as fuck and you see an ad come up to win $50 million, you best believe you're fucking buying that lottery ticket to try win that $50 million. Because your position is so painful. You hate being broke so much. You can't afford things. You don't have the status you want. You can't talk to the people you want. You want that $50 million so bad because it is going to do so many things for you. You can buy a house. You can buy nicer things. You can promise your partner the world. More people are going to like you and respect you and love you, which is fucked, but it's true, if you had that $50 million. So there's a lot of motivation to go and buy that lottery ticket. And I don't think people treat fitness and training the same, but it's something I've always obsessed over, is the pain versus pleasure scale. And it's why I've been able to go from 17, 18, working at a pizza shop, earning $500 a week, to being a fully booked out PT, earning $2.5 grand a week within 3 months. It's why I was able to move my business online and make $200 grand a year as a 21-year-old last year when I moved my business online. It's why I've been able to train consistently for 5 fucking years and been able to get my deadlift up to 260 kilos, my bench up to 130 kilos. It's why I've had the grit to go and help 50 different people. I've got 50 guys in the program at the moment who I'm able to help gain, 10, 12, 15 kilos. And it's why I'm able to help transfer my skills over to them, because I understand the pain versus pleasure scale. You see, I've been in moments in my life where I've hated the position I was in so much that I was willing to do absolutely fucking anything to change. But it's not even that I hated the position I was in so much, it's that I associated so much pleasure with what I was going to do in the future that I was literally willing to do fucking anything to run through that wall and get to where I wanted to be at. Let's take my face-to-face PT, for example. No, fuck it. Let's take my training journey as an example, because this is something that's probably more relatable to you. Before I started training consistently, I was in and out of the gym a little bit, and I was probably like 16 or something. I don't know. And I had a girlfriend at the time, as you do when you're 16 and you're sort of like in your second last year of high school. You got to have your school girlfriends. And I was pretty happy. I was content. She liked me. I liked her. Life was pretty good. I was playing a lot of sport. I felt fit. I felt healthy. I had friends. So when I went to the gym, I didn't really I wasn't really consistent. I didn't really lock in. And I sort of fucked around for the first couple of months and nothing was really happening for me because I didn't give it my all. I didn't associate enough pain with the position I was in at that time. And I didn't think enough about the outcome of what would happen if I was actually consistent with the gym. What that would actually do for me in life. Well, what it did for me was incredible. But let's get to that in a second. Now, when I was about 17, that same girl, or maybe it was a different one, I don't know, broke up with me. And I felt like shit. I felt like my world had crumbled. As you do, being that age, being broken up with, you feel like the world is falling apart, which it obviously wasn't. That was like proper exaggeration. But I felt like the world was falling apart. And for me, that sent me into a bit of a spiral. And I thought to myself, I looked at myself in the mirror and I thought, if you looked better, she wouldn't have broke up with you. If you had bigger arms, more girls would like you. If you looked more attractive, people would respect you more. You would have more friends. You would get invited to more parties. You would be more popular. And I sat there and I thought of that over and over and over and over again. And I'd sit there on my couch and it wasn't just about her. It was about myself. I feel like I didn't have the status that I wanted to. I would scroll through Instagram and I would see guys who were jacked and I would see guys who were popular and who had friends. And I would think, damn, I want to be like them. And I know that's a sort of I guess, a self-absorbed way to look at it, but that's being a human. You want to be important. You want to be popular. You want to be respected. You want to have money. You want to have friends. And that's a normal thing. But I started to fucking hate the position I was in. I started to hate it so much. I was working at a pizza shop, and I get it. I was like 17 at the time, but I wanted something more out of life. I didn't know what I wanted to do. After school, I didn't know whether I wanted to go to uni. I didn't know whether I wanted to do a trade. I didn't know whether I wanted to become a PT. So I began to hate the position I was in so much that I knew something just had to fucking change. So I signed up to the gym. And you best fucking believe this time I was consistent. Because I felt like I just hated where I was so much. And I thought the gym would make me popular. The gym would make me shredded. The gym would make me jacked. The gym would make me strong. More people would respect me. I'd get a girlfriend, Things that a 17-year-old thinks of. Looking back at it now, again, it sounds self-absorbed. It sounds silly. But you can apply this same concept. And I just knew that the gym was the only way out of how I was feeling. It was the only fucking way out of this hole I was in. So I worked my fucking ass off. I was in there like 5 days a week, which, you think work your ass off, you're going to train 7. Well, 5 is actually pretty damn good. I was training 5 days a week and I was making a little bit of progress, but I thought, well, I'm not making enough. So I actually reached out to a coach and I started getting help. I started making so much progress and I was so obsessed with it. I was training all the time. I was following every calorie to a fucking T. I was sleeping to a T. It was great. Like, life was awesome. And I felt like I was doing so much with it to the point where I was like, oh my God, I'm making so much progress. I'm feeling amazing. I had this huge dopamine hit and I was like, fuck, life could be incredible if I keep going with this. So I started my PT course. When I got into that room for the first time, when I signed up for my course and I was sitting around a bunch of other people who wanted to do the same thing as me, that wanted to become a PT, I was terrified, man. I was scared. But I had a mate who was also doing PT and he was telling me he was earning like $2,000 a week from it. And I was like, what the fuck? $2,000 a week? Oh my fuck. You know what that would do for my life? Like, that's crazy. I'm sitting here earning $500 a week as a pizza boy. $2,000 a week would be insane for me. And I began to associate so much pleasure with earning $2,000 a week. I began to think to myself, fuck, if I keep just working at this pizza shop for the rest of my life, I'm going to be so sad. I'm going to be so depressed. I want to do nothing. I'm not going to achieve anything. This is my way out of that. When I got into that room for the first time, I was terrified. I was the youngest one in there. There may be one younger actually, but I was about 18. And there was a bunch of other people in this room. And I remember thinking to myself, and I can still remember the first time I walked into that class and the first time I sat down and the first day I was in my course, I thought, I'm going to outwork all these cunts. I'm a highly competitive person. And again, this sounds self-absorbed, but this is the energy you have to take in your life. I thought, I'm going to outwork all these cunts. They were all very nice people. They were all very driven as well. But no, I'm going to outwork them. I'm going to do whatever it fucking takes to be the most successful PT in this room. And you know what? Like, I worked my ass off. And then within 3 months of starting my PT career at Good Life, I was fully booked because I started and there was an incredible amount of fear behind me. What if I don't make this work? What are the consequences going to be? I'm not going to have any money. I've got no backup plan. What is going to happen? So I began to work my fucking ass off. And yeah, I was willing to do anything to get clients. I was willing to do anything to help my clients. I was willing to do anything to make my life as good as it possibly was. Since then, well, you know, the rest is history. Like, I've been training for 5 years and I still use the exact same principles now with my training. You know, with my business at the moment, I'm doing 200K a year, but I'm helping, at the moment, I've got 50 guys on the team who I'm helping get jacked as fuck. And I think that is absolutely amazing. But I bring the same energy to this. If I don't deliver to my clients, if they don't get the best results possible, I'm going to lose them. And that's one person who I haven't made a difference with. And that's one step backwards I move in my life. I want to be moving forward. I want to help as many people as I can possibly can. Like, I think to myself, imagine if I had 100 clients. How amazing would that be? What would that do for my life? What would that do for their life? That's what gets me up and drives me every single fucking day. How would that feel? That would feel absolutely incredible. How would it feel in 5 years' time if I had stagnated and I haven't moved forward in life? Well, it would feel shit. I'd feel like a failure. I'd feel like I haven't achieved anything. And I bring the same energy to my training and to my gym. I deadlifted 260 kilos the other week, which was amazing. But I'm not content with that because I know I can do more. And if I stay at 260 kilos for the next 5 years, I'm going to feel like shit. But if I get to 300 kilos, 350, hell, 400, who knows what's possible? Imagine how pleasurable that will feel. And you can use the exact same principles to yourself. If you're sitting there and you're 60 kilos, you're 70 kilos, you hate the way you look, fucking dwell on that. Use that as energy. You know? Hate the way you look. That's fine. As long as you do something about it. Think of how good it will be to gain 10 kilos, to gain 20 kilos, to get to 80, 90, 100 kilos. How amazing will that feel? It's going to feel incredible. What's that going to do for you and your relationships and, you know, like your own physique, your friends, your popularity? Are you going to do better with your career? Are you going to make more money? Are you going to be a good example for your kids? These are all these things you need to think about. And most people don't realize that. Most people just go, fuck it, I'm going to join the gym and I'm just going to see what happens. No, sit there and dwell on the person you are now. Are you happy with the person that you are now? If you're not, fucking do something about it. If you want to be this amazing, jacked man who's incredibly strong and is successful in the future, think of how good that's going to be. What kind of an example does that set for you and your kids and your partner and your friends? How many people does that lift up? How many people can you help? These are the things that drive me every single day. And to summarize, this is the pain versus pleasure scale. You know, so many people run away from their feelings and they aren't willing to feel. You would rather escape to alcohol or drugs, or you'd rather scroll or play video games than think about the position you're in. Sometimes it's good to just dwell on it and to think, what do you really want out of life? When are you going to take action? Do you really like the position you're in now? Do you want more out of life? And if you're watching this, you're probably a dude in your 20s and you likely do want more out of your life. So if that's you, I encourage you to sit there and think long and hard about what you want. Because I've done the same. It's worked out for me. I'm not the most successful person in the world by any means. And I have a long way to go to reach my goals. But this is what drives me and this is what has helped get me to this point in such a short amount of time. So I want you to bring the same energy to your life. I'm out.